Hello from Slide Nerd and hello from Weaves. What's up, folks? In the last vid, I was talking about explicit intents. If you remember explicit, it means that we know the name of the person who we are calling, right? For example, we had an app, there were two activities, and I wanted to call the second activity from the first one. So I used directly the name of the second activity using an intent, and bam, it was called, right? But here, things are a bit different. Here we are going to talk about reusability. Now if you remember what reusability means, you have a project, you want to connect it to a database. What do? You write database code, right? Now tomorrow, let's say 1 month later, you have another project which you want to connect to the database. Are you going to write the entire database code again? No, you're simply going to say Control C and Control V and modify stuff, right? And that's what reusability is all about. Here again, I have a weird scenario. I have an app that I want to send email or SMS, or you can say anything for now. But remember, for this I'll have to write email activity, right? Now I'll have to make some edit text over there, then I'll have to handle some functionality of sending email. But remember one thing, your Android operating system already has inbuilt email functionality. So why would I go ahead and waste my time writing an email functionality, right? I would simply find a way to reuse it. So what I have is, I need email functionality in my app. I don't want to waste time building email. I will use an existing activity. Now remember, just the way you install apps, your Android operating system or your Android device also has pre-installed apps, and email is actually, you can say, one of them that handles everything. So even it has activities, services, broadcast receivers, content providers, and whatever. I don't know exactly which activity on my device can send email. Now all you know is that you want to send an email. Now you obviously don't know the name of the activity or which package it is inside your Android device, right? So you need a way to define the functionality and let Android call the right person to do your work, right? That's what implicit intents is all about. So here in implicit intents, you can tell what action you want to perform without worrying about who can perform it, right? And then you get notifications. For example, your airplane mode was on, your airplane mode was turned off, or your battery level went below a certain level. All these things are notifications. So whenever there is an event, an intent is created out of that event and it is supplied to everybody. Now if you have a broadcast receiver who's actively listening to these events, then that broadcast receiver is going to be connected, right? Now don't worry too much about what I just said right now. If you don't know what a broadcast receiver is or what events are, simply they are notifications when something happens, like your battery goes low, your Bluetooth was turned on, your network availability is not there, or you have your airplane mode on. And there are hundreds or maybe thousands of events like that in the Android device, and each event is actually converted into an intent object, and that is broadcasted to everybody in the system. That's how the Android operating system works with events. So now, as I told you guys, you don't know the name of the component that you want to call for sending an email. But how will you identify it? You can define the functionality you want in 4 pieces. So first, there is something called an action. You define what you want to do. For example, you want to place a call, you want to send an SMS, something like that. And then you have your data. That is what type of data you want to work with. For example, you simply say that, hey, open this page http google.com. Now what is that http google.com? http is a host and port and URI, right? URLs or stuff. So that is what data is all about. You define what type of data or URI or images or whatever you're working with. And then last but not the least, you have your extras. Now this is the additional information. For example, you said place a phone call, but who do you call? The name of the person, or maybe his number, or maybe his email ID, or maybe his Skype account ID or something like that. So that is all about extras. You pass additional information needed to perform the task. And then you have categories. Categories are nothing but you simply divide or group stuff by defining what each group will do. For example, if you remember, in all your activities inside your application, you have something called category launcher, and that is how your activities appears inside the list of apps in the launcher. Remember, you guys can go ahead and see my previous vid where I have talked about this, how categories affect an activity coming inside the launcher. Alright, so basically you have 3 things that work with intents. You want to call somebody, it can be either an activity, or it can be a service, or it can be a broadcast receiver. Now remember, activities and services come under one category, and broadcast receivers come under a separate category. You can call any one of them using an intent object. Now there are methods like start activity for result, start service, bind service, send broadcast, send ordered broadcast, send sticky broadcast, and stuff like that. Now don't worry, I will talk about the methods in detail later. For now, we guys are keeping everything theoretical, alright? The component that you call doesn't need to be running actively. The package manager in Android is the guy who's responsible for handling intents. Alright, so when the package manager receives an intent request, it's gonna check who's running, who's not running, and it's gonna call the person regardless of whether they are running or not running. In the next vid, I'm going to talk about intent resolution, or how intents work in detail with the package manager. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel, comment, let me know what you think about this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Have a nice day.